Hello, intelligent scientists. Yay! It's another interesting and expository basic science class. Are you ready, intelligent scientist, for this? Now, you get your writing materials, get your pen, get your notebooks, and let's say it together. You are highly welcome to my class. Now let's go on to our agenda for today. Today we'll be carrying out practicals on different phase changes. First of all, we'll be looking at different states of matter, and next we'll be carrying out practicals on different phase changes like melting, freezing, evaporation, and condensation. So we'll be using common examples around us to carry out these practicals. We'll be using common examples for melting, we'll be using common examples for freezing, we'll be using common examples for evaporation and condensation. So after carrying out these practicals, you'll find out that all these phase changes are parts of our daily lives. So let's get started. So before carrying out the practicals, let's quickly do a review on the changes of matter with examples. Remember, we did different states of matter and we did different changes of matter, how matter can change state from solid to liquid, from liquid to gas, from gas to solid, and so on. So we'll be watching a video now that explains with examples different changes of matter.
Today we'll be learning about changes in the states of matter. Now you know there are three states of matter. There are solids, there are liquids, and there are gases. And you probably know that when a solid like ice turns into a liquid, we say that it's melting. And if a liquid like water turns back into a solid, we can say that it's freezing. But it turns out they're names for all of the other types of changes that can exist as well. If a liquid turns into a gas, like when you boil a pot of water, we say that the liquid is evaporating. This is an example of evaporation. There are also times when a gas will turn back into a liquid. If you've ever had a bottle of cold water, you see these little droplets of water form on the outside. This is happening because water vapor, or gas in the air, is turning back into a liquid because of the cold water inside of the bottle. We call this process when a gas turns back into a liquid condensation. There's one more example too. Believe it or not, but a solid can turn directly into a gas without ever having to be a liquid. This happens with dry ice, which is solid carbon dioxide. If you drop it in some water just to start the reaction, you can see that the carbon dioxide ice is turning directly into a gas. It's never becoming a liquid. Those solid chunks are switching directly into a gas. Now this process where a solid goes straight to a gas is called sublimation. Let's practice some of these together. If you ever wake up on a cold morning, you sometimes see that there's liquid water on the grass. This water comes from water gas or vapor in the air that's turning back into liquid water. What is it called when a gas turns back into a liquid? Well, we can see that that is called condensation. Here's another example. If you pour water on a dark surface on a hot day, you can watch it seem to disappear really quickly. That's because the liquid water is turning into water gas or vapor and vanishing into the air. What is it called when a liquid turns into a gas? Well, you can see that we call that evaporation. Finally, here's one more. When you have a cube of dry ice, solid carbon dioxide, it turns straight from a solid into a gas. What is it called when a solid turns into a gas? Well, when a solid turns directly into a gas, it's called sublimation. Now it's time for you to practice on your own. On cold days, you sometimes see droplets of water form on your window. What is happening to cause that? Well, that's happening because water vapor or water gas in the air is turning back into a liquid on your window. That is an example of condensation. Now here's another. When you boil a pot of water, say to make tea, you can see all of this gas coming out of the kettle. What is this an example of? Well, in this example, liquid water is turning into water gas or water vapor as you boil it. This is an example of evaporation. So from today, remember, evaporation is when liquids turn into gases. Condensation is when gases turn into liquids. And sublimation is when solids turn directly into gases.
Alright, I know you enjoyed and you learned a lot from that video. Now it's practical time. So I want you to be actively involved by paying attention and noting these examples so that even in your own house, in your own spare time, you can also carry out these practicals. I want you to know that there is no scientist without an experiment or practical. Now we'll be watching the video on the practical. Happy viewing. The first practical I'll be carrying out is from solid to liquid. Here we have different solid matter. We have chocolate bar, we have wax, and we have butter. The next thing we'll be doing is to apply it. So we'll start with our butter. You can see it is being applied and you can see the butter is being changed to liquid. So we have solid phase to liquid phase, and the process of solid changing to liquid is known as melting. Beautiful. So next we want to put our wax in the frying pan. Now you can see it is melting, so solid is being changed to liquid. To change solid to liquid, you need to apply it. Now, our chocolate bar is placed in the boiling water. You can see that it's melting. Now, another one again, you can change ice to liquid by keeping it in the normal room temperature. So these are different examples of melting. So next, we'll be looking at examples on evaporation. That is the change of liquid to gas. So what do? We put water in a saucepan, or it can be your kettle. Now you can see that the water is boiling. The process where the water boils and steams begin to come up, that is known as evaporation. You can see the water is boiling and you can see the steam coming up. That's gas vaporization. Now the next one we'll be talking about is from liquid to solid. So how do we change from liquid to solid? By putting the liquid in a container and allowing it to cool down for some time. When it cools down, it solidifies, and the process is known as freezing. So the next one we're looking at is condensation, the change of gas to liquid. Have you ever opened the lid from a pot, from a boiling pot? You will see liquid droplets on it. That's because gas, the steam, has been converted to liquid. Now you can see it. So now you can see that steam is becoming water, is becoming liquid. So gas is being changed to liquid, and this process is known as what? Condensation. Okay, so I know you've learned a lot. So quickly we'll do a summary on everything you've learned so far. So we talked about changes in the states of matter, where you watch solid change to liquid, liquid change to gas, and so on. Then we went on to carry out practicals on condensation, on melting, on freezing, and on evaporation. Remember, evaporation is from liquid to gas, where we saw water boiling and turned into a steam. Then we carried practicals on melting, where we melted our chocolate bar, we melted our wax and butter, and it turned into liquid. Then we carried experiment on condensation, where gas became liquid, and on freezing, where we left the liquid to cool down for some time, and when it has cooled down, it became hard and it became solid again. So I know you've learned. So it's not enough to learn. You have to keep practicing, because practice makes perfect. And yes, it is a wrap up for today. Thank you for watching, and do not forget to attempt your quiz and do your assignments. See you in my next class. Bye.